So one of the tools I use in the fundamentals dryland session is the kayak erg. Really nice piece of apparatus. There are a few key points to be sort of conscious of how it differs to being on the water. One is obviously that we're not sort of, we're stuck in one spot and we're grabbing water, but we're not pulling past it. But outside of that, you get a bit of a feel for it. It's a really, really good tool to just establish some really good movement patterns, some good posture, and if needs be, do some good training on. Here in Sydney, certainly, we've got, there is some cold weather during the winter, allegedly. And then like a day like today here in Sydney is like super, super hot. So you'll find some guys will be in using their ergs with a fan on and stuff, just trying to escape the heat. So a really, really good tool. And as I said, really important tool for me, helping people to establish a really good stroke, and then to try and instill what the keywords that I discuss mean to afford an efficient forward stroke. Okay, so the first thing when I sit on the paddle erg is establishing that correct leg length. Absolutely vital on the erg, absolutely vital on the surf ski, absolutely vital in the kayak. Whatever the craft is, the leg length is absolutely paramount, probably the most important setting that you will set, okay? So on this erg here now, I've set this that I can really connect with my heels, but I've still got the space for the hips to come forward and back as we see this knee movement, okay? So something to be conscious of around what leg drive means to a paddler and how it looks visually, okay? So when we see guys paddling, we see this sort of leg movement and this up and down, okay? And for a lot of paddlers, that's the driver of what leg drive essentially is. But done really well, this leg movement should actually be a result of the drive onto the plate from the heels and then the hips moving, okay? So this is a resulting movement. It's not what's causing the movement, okay? So a really important thing to grasp that. So really strong in your heels, trying to get that heel connection driving the hip back, and then as the recovery side hip comes forward, and then as a result of that, we see this movement in the legs, this up and down movement, okay? So I've got this leg length set now at a really nice length. That's, as I said, it's allowing me to really strong on the plate, keep the hips rotating. From having the leg length set, then that will help dictate what my posture is, okay? And so like I'm not leaning forward, I'm definitely not leaning back. I'm trying to be in what we call a proud position, okay? And, I've kind of heard it described, you're paddling up to the start of a race line, okay? You're not going to be kind of, I hope I have a good race today or something like that. It's like, right, I've done the training, I'm here to race. Come on, boys, let's have a go. Carry that pride in your posture, and, big chest, big back, okay? You do that, that's going to allow that real nice upper body rotation. It's going to allow the hips to work really hard on the seat, okay? We come forward too much, it's going to kind of restrict the hips. We lean back, there's no power back there, forget that, okay? So we want to be really strong, good positioning out of the hips, and then that is then going to allow us to engage this core, which, like the abs, obliques, lower back, okay? And again, when we talk about the shaft, connecting different parts of the body, for some paddlers, they might think about having strong abs. Personally, if my lower back is kind of feeling connected and strong in the ski, then the other core muscles will be on. So I'm not thinking about the three of them at once. So I'm kind of just feeling what that lower back position is doing to my posture. And if that feels good, generally I'll feel pretty good then in my stroke, okay? So again, what works for you individually will be completely different to what works for other people, and it's just about finding those cues that work for you. But it's just really important to just find that good positive posture, because from there we're going to just layer everything on top of that. Okay, so we've established a good leg length, I've got my nice posture, feeling really good on the erg. So let's start into the stroke. Okay, so I got nice connection with the heels into the plate. They're driving back into the hips. Getting that nice forward and back motion. Keeping that posture nice and open. So starting at the front of the stroke, getting that nice narrow catch. So you'll see on the erg I use little cable ties beside the footwell. So we want to be hitting those cable ties every time. Getting the stroke out at the hips. Trying to be relaxed in the face, neck and shoulders. So not getting tense. Keeping it nice and fluid. So then let's reference then the rectangle. So getting my setup, my winding down into the catch, power phase comes on, exit into setup. We got those phases, and then we try bring the four of them in together, nice and synced, nice and relaxed. And trying to just keep those 7 cue words pretty close in terms of what I'm doing movement wise. And having a nice little cruise on the erg. Okay, so with paddling, obviously how everyone's stroke is very individual, but there are fundamentals to the stroke, okay? And the cue words address those fundamentals. So what I do might fundamentally be okay, but it might look quite a lot different to a mate who, you know, might be a lot bigger or might have longer limbs or, you know, might be one of the girls. So we'll all kind of approach it differently. But if we've got the fundamentals pretty close, then those other differences kind of even out and we don't need to worry about them. What we don't want to do is see everyone absolutely paddling the same and all like robots. There's no need for that. But just get those basics right, those fundamentals right, and then everything will fall into place. And then as you get more advanced in your paddling, then different cue words are going to resonate with you, different instructions going to resonate, and then you'll start seeing gains then in different aspects of how you progress as a paddler. Okay, so yeah, take that time then to work those fundamentals. See maybe if the 7 that I've suggested work for you, you might use them a little bit differently, or word them a bit different, that the words make more sense to you when you paddle. Yeah, hopefully those seven cue words and what we've gone through today in terms of 4 Ps, the rectangle, the phases, frame, cue words, hopefully that has kind of simplified the stroke, because I think there is like a lot of sports out there, maybe a bit of a tendency trying to overcomplicate paddling. It is a complicated movement. There's no doubt about that. But if you just break it down into simple parts, work on those parts individually, and then they will start to complement each other. And then as everything starts to complement each other more, then your stroke's going to improve, your performance is going to improve, and ultimately you're going to be a much better paddler and able to achieve things that hopefully you never dreamt of when you picked up a paddle for the first time. So yeah, so keep working away at it, and if there are any questions you have on this, yeah, get in touch on the usual means, and yeah, we can have a chat about how we can improve your paddling. If you'd like to book in one-on-one sessions yourself, I'm based in Sydney, so yeah, that's no problem at all. Just get in touch. We can do dryland setups here, the fundamental session, or obviously do lots of work at Rose Bay on the harbour, where yeah, we go down there and do some video work and what do you call it, try and implement a lot of what we do here, and then we obviously use different drills and stuff on the harbour to yeah, try and set you up to paddle better. Okay, another one of the tools in addition to the erg and the catch force that I use teaching fundamentals is the pedo rotating machine. Now it's a bit of dark arts, this one. But it's a really effective machine in teaching the fundamentals of what the frame is, okay? How leg drive works in unison with a good strong catch, and how it works in unison with a really good strong top hand, okay? What do you call it? So Peter's a Hungarian coach with like 1 million years of experience. A really nice guy, really good character, and what do you call it? I've learned a huge amount from him, and yeah, really grateful for kind of all that he showed me about paddling, and what do you call it? Yeah, I try to pass on a lot of his teachings in what I do. So yeah, so the opportunity came up to get the rotating machine, and said, Peter, send it down. So as far as I know, I'm the only one in Sydney. There are a few interspersed around the country, but there's not many. So yeah, so this is the pedo rotating machine. So yeah, so basically what this machine does, it rotates. So that's literally what it does, okay? So when we have paddlers visit here to do a session, this machine really helps us establish what frame is and how it feels, and then they take that away and try to apply that on the water, okay? So when we activate the erg, there's a few components, okay? There's really being strong out of our legs, being strong on that catch, and then being strong on that top hand, okay? So when those three things are working, the movement of the machine is pretty dynamic, and depending on the how powerful the user is, and also, you know, sometimes it can take a little bit of getting used to the machine. But yeah, we're looking for a nice dynamic movement out of the machine, okay? When we don't see that dynamic movement, that is then giving us cues to maybe something a paddler is missing. And if they're kind of missing it here, there's a good chance that this could be a key then to what they're missing on the water, okay? And if we can establish then, yeah, you get this right on here, and then they take that away, and that makes sense, then, you know, job's done. We're, you know, they're paddling better. I'm happy, they're happy, and yeah, maybe their competitors aren't so happy. So yeah, so as I said, we're looking for this nice dynamic movement. Now you'll excuse me that I can't talk too much when I'm doing that, because it's actually really hard on the abs, okay? But what we're looking for is, as I said, you know, that nice swift bump, bump, bump motion out of the machine. Okay. So what happens then if one of those key components isn't applied? Okay. So let's try get it going without legs. Okay. So it's really hard. It's really sluggish. It's not a whole lot of fun. Not that the machine's a whole lot of fun in general. It's can be a bit of a torture device, but it's really hard then when the legs aren't driving into the plate, right? Okay. So let's work it. Strong legs, strong catch, and no top hand or a weak top hand. Okay. So really hard to get around. All right. So, yeah, just an absolute nightmare doing it like that, okay? So, what do you call it? So that's showing us how much the top hand controls the frame and the power then that transitions down into our craft when we paddle, okay? Now, let's do it with no catch, but with the top hand, okay? And then this will give you a bit of an idea of the impact of how much power the top hand can put into the stroke, okay? So it's a little bit more dynamic than the catch with no top hand, doing top hand with no catch, okay? So that should give you a bit of an inkling into you know, the real positive effect that that strong top hand position has, and obviously what a good strong frame has, okay? So then when we bring them all back into sync, and then we start getting that more dynamic movement. So that's what the pedo machine is. We've got some, we can play around with some extras on this machine. We can add some weights on the front of it. It's set up to be spring loaded, so we can play with different aspects of the catch and stuff. So it's a really useful tool. Yeah, really useful tool, and definitely something a bit different to what anyone else is kind of using. But for me, when I first went to Peter for a lesson, I was on the Sunshine Coast for holidays and booked in a lesson. And first thing he did, he put me on this machine, and I was like, wow, like this thing makes a whole lot of sense. So as I said, when the opportunity came to get my hands on one, I said, Peter, send one down, and yeah, here we are. And to be honest with you, how all of this kind of spawned was that there was someone had done a session with Peter and had got wind that I had this machine. They live in Sydney, and they said, listen, is there any chance I can come and have a go at your machine? And I was going, yeah, okay, yeah, that's no problem. And then he told some of his paddling buddies about it, and yeah, next thing they're lining up, and yeah, it's a tool now we've used extensively for a few seasons, and yeah, it's really worked well for a lot of paddlers. It's helped them improve their paddling, and combining it with the speed stroke erg, and then the catch force, and then a few of the other little things around here, like you know, the various seats and a few things. Yeah, we've set up a nice little dry land setup to help you with your paddling. So yeah, if you fancy trying some of the black magic that is the pedo machine, get in touch. We'll throw you on, see how you go, and yeah, just be ready to have some sore abs after it. Okay. Any questions? Give us a shout. Thanks for watching.